also, I mean, I have it like threefold. You know, I'm black, I'm female, and I'm gay, and it's...
You are the poster child of diversity.
I am I'm the beer unicorn.
That's the episode name.
When you hire
write
me,
it down? Thank you.
I tick off every box. So you only need to hire me, and then you're good. You're good.
That's amazing. Inspire everyone else.
Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Are you a brewhead? I'm a brewhead. Y'all are brewheads? Yeah, we brewheads. So pour a glass of craft beer, we can do this. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? This is C Certified Brewhead, and welcome to episode 81 of BrewHeads, the podcast. And mate, we're here in, I was gonna say sunny Montreal. It's kind of sunny at HELM in Myland, doing a podcast with someone who would be mean to this for a long time. This is a very long time coming. Renee Navarro. Thank you so much for finally hanging out.
My pleasure.
Welcome to Montreal, first of all.
Thank you.
I don't know why. How long have we been talking? It's been like a year or so.
I think it's longer than a year.
You think? Probably has. I feel like everything like is compacted.
Everything goes so fast, but I think it's more than a year for sure.
And I'm never in Kitchener, which is where you're based.
Yep.
Which is Kitchener, Ontario, about an hour west of Toronto, 45 minutes.
Hour and change.
Show. Yeah. What brings you guys to Montreal?
Vacation, my friend.
Vacay.
And beer.
And beer. Well, it's like a beercation, right?
Always a beercation.
So we decided we're here. Like, I figured that if we're going to do a podcast, since we've been meaning to do it, I'm never in Kitchen. You're not in Toronto too much either, right?
Occasionally,
but it would just never timed up.
It just never.
So like, since
no.
you guys are here, I'm like, we're gonna hang out anyway. I was like, why not just squish this in, get
perfect.
it done, and why not take it to one of our favorite places in the area, HELM. Huge shout outs to Elise, Renaud, Sebastian for having us and taking care of us and allowing us to hijack your establishment for our personal needs. What are you drinking now?
I am drinking looking over the board, I'm drinking the Hutchie Blondie, which is a West Coast IPA.
And it's nice and hazy now. It didn't used to be hazy.
So good.
Look at that. It's smelling great. I think I might have to get that after.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I'm totally going to go for it. And I grabbed that Hop and Sour, which is the second batch. It's I guess the sour, it says on Untapped was like a harvest ale, but I don't know why someone got that through wrong. Really good. Like HELM didn't usually do. We're just saying right before the HELM, kind of like the place where we would take friends who aren't super like beer nerds to, because it was kind of safer. They had a nice range of everything. But now they're just ramping up their stuff and getting nerdier and nerdier. I love it.
Oh, it's so good.
This is so good because they just never did sours and really nailing it.
I'm not going to say what pint I'm on.
Hey, it's vacant. Don't worry, you don't have to excuse anything. And we're going to keep drinking after this too. So, it's Friday, right? It's Good Friday.
It's Good Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Every Friday's a Good Friday.
I like the attitude. So I think what we need to do is get into your background, what you actually do, because you do some pretty serious stuff, and as people will notice here, which we'll get into, your T-shirt. Black people love beer. Shout out to Tio and Benny at Dope and Dank, you friggin' legends.
Oh my
so
gosh.
we have a really strong mutual friend in Tio, which we want to really get into today, because essentially you are doing the good work that he's doing out there, him and Benny are doing out there, and you're doing that in Canada, and it's just very, very important that beer is for everybody, and someone needs to kind of teach people that, because it's just a very interesting thing. So before we get into that, how did you get into beer? How did you, what's your beer story?
So my intro to beer was bad beer in university, because that's how we go.
Of course.
Because you have to. You hit a point where you're like, I can drink like large amounts of liquor on my own, and this is not so much fun anymore. So I was saying I was drinking Red Dog, which I think is a Molson product now.
Red Dog?
Yeah, it's a talking pit bull in the commercials. I
think I missed that.
I got lured by
the talking pit bull.
You're not missing anything.
I want the talking pit bull beer. It does sound kind of fun.
Yeah, simple lager, really easy.
But trash. Couldn't be more trash.
But like wonderful garbage.
Okay,
you know when you're like being really funny and you go out with your friends, you're like, I'm gonna get that beer because it's got it's that beer.
So I think that's kind of what PBR is to people. Or
for sure.
Okay.
I think it could have been that. But
the PBR before P, because it's kind of hipstery now. Like people drink it because it's ironic.
I don't even know where it is anymore.
Labatt 50. That's the one that the hipsters like.
Labatt 50.
It's not that bad.
Oh, you know what? Back in the day, it was really sweet.
Okay.
They've changed the recipe because Labatt 50 now. It feels weird to say. It actually tastes okay.
It's Miller.
Oh, it's Miller.
Okay, that could be why. And it's still available,
you can get it in the States. You can't get it here anymore.
Okay.
So I think Miller must have bought it.
And just been like,
but that was my intro to it.
Okay.
My parents are from Trinidad, so it was Heineken was your high-end beer, and then Guinness was how you get your iron.
Which is
right?
Tiffany's squeezing on that.
Tiffany's on it like, yes.
Like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it's because I remember my mom being like, I was pregnant with you, and I drank Guinness to help my iron levels. And for the longest while, she wouldn't drink it in Canada because her memory was that it was like very chewy and like I don't want to touch it. And she had a Guinness here, and I was like, no, they don't make it in the same place. Guinness has 3 breweries, one in Canada, one in the Caribbean, and then one in Ireland. And the Caribbean version is as strong as the Irish version.
When you say strong, is it taste profile or ABV?
Yeah, it's taste profile.
Oh, so it's different.
Yeah, it's different. And then she had it here, and she was like, "Oh, it's like water."
Right.
Like you were afraid of nothing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my intro to it. And then Rebecca and I started doing some, like we started drinking together because we worked together, and because work makes you drink. And so it was a lot of Alexander Keith's. Right. That was kind of the craft beer, and that was our favorite IPA.
That still makes me so mad that they how can they get away with that?
When you go and have like an actual IPA later, you're like, wait, someone lied to me.
Like later in life, right?
For sure.
It's I heard it is good from the brewery though.
I've heard that, but we didn't make like when we were in Halifax, we were like, we could go.
But like, why? I think it sometimes fun to see these big ones. Yeah, right? Same. It's like,
I don't want to hear the history of like some guy being like, we made a beer where we lied to everyone about what the flavor profile is.
And now, like, a whole generation of drinkers don't know what an IPA is.
Yeah, because they think that it's a lager. Like, that's basically...
Maybe it was an IPA back in the day.
Well,
as far as I had
but if
more
you looked historically, back in the day, it would have been. It would have been a completely different recipe.
Like 70, 80 years ago,
Yeah,
fuck them.
Yeah, so thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
So we drank a lot of that. And then Versed in Toronto is a fantastic beer bar, and they started doing Beer 101.
Okay.
And so every Sunday, I think it was one Sunday a month, they would bring in a different brewery.
That's sick.
And so
they just come and talk to you about their beer.
Yeah, it'd be like 2 hours, and they'd bring in a bunch of beers, and
you paid for it.
The kitchen, it was like $25 or something, and the kitchen staff would pair the sausage with the beer.
Wow.
And each brewery would send a rep. And so, we met the guys from like, Great Lakes, Sawdust, BAOS.
Amazing.
Yeah, like it was just these groups of people that you're like, I would never find you otherwise.
Right.
And I mean, even the guy from Hackashore was there. I think it was Craft Brand. No, not Craft. It would have been like Premier.
Okay.
But one of those, but still, you learned about a German beer. Where you're like, this is not a thing I would have
still crafts, right? They're not bought out. They're all they just large volumes, but they're independent now.
Yeah. So that was a really great intro. And then Great Lakes used to do their Project X events.
Okay.
And so that was, I think, once a month, maybe once every 2 months.
And how long ago were we talking here? Like
it's probably like 6 years ago.
Okay, so
not like 20 years ago. It's 20 years ago I was drinking garbage.
Yeah.
But like 6-7 years ago.
Yep.
And that would have been these really amazing spots, events at the brewery where they were like, we're going to do like a pumpkin themed thing, do some collaborations with other breweries,
right?
And you can only get it here. And once it's gone, it's gone.
So you discovered it through going to Versed, and then you were like, oh, now then you started going to the breweries themselves to get the rare stuff or the brewery owned.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then I guess Project X led into Tank 10.
Okay.
And then
this is great.
From there, we were working in life insurance, so it wasn't even one of those like
I wasn't even in the same
beer
world.
life.
It was like you had to drink to stay sane.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's the only way you could do it.
Corporate world, right? It's a terrible thing.
It's a thing. But and so doing that and meeting all these people, and you'd go to a place and people would remember you because you went to all these events, you went to things.
Because it was such a smaller. I think that still happens quite regularly now.
Yeah,
but I
really
guess it's
does.
just expanded so much.
Yeah, and so that was really fantastic. And then I decided to get out of life insurance and went back to school, needed a job. Great Lakes was hiring for a retail store.
Nice.
I applied, and they were like, tell us about us. And I was like, ooh, okay, so Project X, Versed, Beer 101, blah, 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 blah. And that's how I got my foot in the door.
Amazing.
And so ever since then, I've been in beer.
And that was about 5?
It was probably about 5.5 years ago.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Great Lakes was the start.
Yes.
And then you I remember you from
And
some
then
other places too.
I left for a bit. I left
Yep.
beer for a while because I was just like, it's great, but it doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, beer is unfortunately
Beer,
not a place to get money.
unfortunately, just you don't go into beer for the money. You go in for the love of beer.
Yes. Which is
and-
kind of cool, but sucks, but it's cool at the same
Yeah,
time.
except
'cause
you can't pay your landlord with beer. Here's $1,700 worth of beer. Don't ask me how I got it. But yeah, so after that I went to Kensington,
Kensington, okay.
and I was there for a couple of years.
So that was long before the physical location because they were contracting
Yes,
at the time?
yeah.
So what were you doing for them there? Sales?
And then was at Woodhouse, which is based out of
Oh, nice.
Toronto.
Graham's
There
the
for like
man.
a hot minute. I
Yeah?
love Graham. He's such a good
Shouts
dude.
Graham.
And
young man.
yeah, man, like seriously, I just want to.
Just want to give him a little hey, buddy.
And then Rebecca decided to get into beer, so she was working at Royal City in Guelph.
Oh, yeah, Rosa. Do you know Dan? He used to be my manager at Beer Market. Dan is
That guy's awesome.
such a G, eh?
So good.
Such a G.
So when she got that job, I was like, well, let's just figure things out. Because we were in Toronto and she got a job in Guelph.
Oh, so like, well, that's why you guys are around.
Yes.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
then so we moved to Kitchener and I got a job at Descendants. I was there for a year doing sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Redline. And so I'm at Redline now.
Right, so which is, they're based in Barrie.
Yes.
So it's technically like
An hour
or
and
so.
change from Toronto.
Right.
In the opposite
In the opposite direction, yes. So then you're just repping that area, you're doing the whole...
Yeah, so I do Guelph to London.
Okay, so you've been a bit of everywhere.
Yeah, I
So,
really have.
Yeah.
And then in between, I'm one of the co-founders of the Society of Beer Drinking Ladies.
Oh, you're co-founder of that?
Yes.
There we go, okay.
Yes, that.
I didn't do all my research.
Title for
That's
life,
good.
my friend.
Yes, that's
Because I
fantastic.
left them about a year ago. Doing really great work, doing a lot of just really being able to bring a bunch of women together and say, you don't have to be a beer fan. That's a great intro to craft beer, and also there's a charitable component. So they partner with the Canadian Women's Foundation, and I think they just celebrated their 4th anniversary in January. And I think last year was $15,000 worth of donations.
Amazing.
So it's probably like $40,000 worth of donations
That's fantastic.
to a group of women who are doing fantastic things
And there's
for other women.
hundreds of attendees. I think there was
Yeah.
a festival...
My last event was a festival, and there were 1,300 women.
1,300.
1,300.
That's incredible.
I think the smallest event I was ever at was 110, and then it just ramped up from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was super great, and I'm really proud of the work that I did with them, and I'm proud of what they're doing now. And it's great because in that period of time, there's been this evolution of women beer groups.
Right.
Like I think the newest one is Iron Beer Maidens, and they're at
Tiffany.
Hamilton.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tiff, shouts to Tiff. She's the best.
And then there's Queen of Craft, which just celebrated their 5th year, and they're based out of Guelph.
Right. And that was one you spoke at recently.
Yeah. So I did my talk on beer and diversity there. And that was the 2nd year that I got to do that.
Amazing.
And yeah, I mean, there's like all these female beer writers, and there's the Beer Sisters out of Toronto.
Yeah, Crystal and Tyra, they're great.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Like, so there's all these really great things, and all these great people doing things, and reminding the world that women love beer.
Yeah.
And now the next step is black people love beer.
Yes. Great segue. So the issue of diversity in beer is something that, like, we sort of touched on. We were just telling Sebastian earlier because I guess it's something he almost seemed surprised.
Yes.
And that shows that he's this place has been around for like 10 years, 11 years. So the fact that he was like, oh really? No one in Quebec is talking about it.
No.
He said he saw the t-shirt and he wants some of the t-shirts because one night I was here and I was sitting at the bar, I was by myself. Tiff came and had to go, and there was 3 black dudes at the bar, and I was like, this is crazy. And 2 of them were together, and they happened to be his childhood friends. They were Haitian dudes, and I hung out with them all night. They were teaching me about Haitian food because I know nothing about that, and they don't really know much about beer. But the fact that I was aware of that in a place like Montreal was very key. Speaks to the fact that it's much needed conversation. So how did, I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious how, but like what was sort of, how did it come about that you really wanted to sort of like take this topic and kind of own it and be, unfortunately you're the face of it.
Yeah, and I mean,
Ontario,
I think like the joking way to put it is it's that Little Britain skit. the only gay in the village.
Oh,
and Daffod being like, I'm the only gay in the village. and
that's a really good reference. No one watches Little Britain.
Right? Oh god, it's so good.
The best.
Yeah, so when I started, I mean, you didn't really notice. You know, there were some people of color working in the back, like as assistant brewers or guys on the line. And so for when I started, I didn't see.
Would that be?
So that would have been Great Lakes.
So okay, so like
five and a half years ago. And I was working in the retail store. So let's say 6, yes. Okay. Let's say 6 years. So I was working in the retail store. But I would realize when people came in and they'd be like, oh, you're doing my tour and telling me the history of this beer. I'm going to ask you extra questions. And I'd be like, okay, let's go. I got this. And then I would blow people's minds because they'd be like, I didn't realize that you drank beer.
Right.
Like, if I had $1 from that point till now of every person that asked if I really drank beer, we'd be like doing this interview in my mansion, and I would have flown you in on my personal condor, because the thing is, like, people have these things in their minds that are very specific.
From gender or race?
I think it's a bit of both. Okay. And I mean, when it started, it was very like
gender.
It was gender.
I was gonna say, because not anymore. I would never consider like there's so many women who know.
But also, how many women beer groups did I just name and women writers?
Yeah. Like, it's just so, I feel like beer festivals and most brew pubs I go to is pretty much 50-50 gender-wise. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's moved.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely changed.
I mean, maybe not all the time. It's probably being generous, but you get,
but I mean, even if you do like a 30-70, that's so much
probably
more than what it was before, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that's changed, and you really see that. But now it's about the faces of the people who are there. Okay. So you go to a bar and there's a bunch of women, but then you look at those women and you're like, oh, hang on a second. Yeah. And when I got into sales, it was pretty specific. Like, you knew of a group of saleswomen, and so when it started, probably just before I got into it, you'd say, oh, I talked to a woman, and you'd be like, oh, did you talk to this girl or this girl? And then that was it. And then as more women started getting into sales, it would be, oh, I talked to a woman. Oh, okay, was she white or black? Oh, she's black. Oh, you talked to red. Right. And the thing is, all these years later, it's still, oh, you talked to red. Yeah. And that's the thing that I'm kind of pushing against. Right. And saying, this is a problem.
So then, in your opinion, this is, I dare say that you would probably agree with what Tia was saying. Is it a lack of, why? Why is there no diversity? Is it just people of color are not interested in beer? Are they not marketed to? Where the jobs are advertised are in a place where it wouldn't reach a lot of people? Where do you think that disconnect comes from?
I think it's improper marketing, first and foremost.
Of beer? Or of beer. The jobs?
Of beer.
First and foremost.
Yeah. I mean, for jobs, it used to be that you'd see a lot of people of color working in the back. So assistant brewers, guys on the line, making and getting your beer ready for you.
Okay.
But now everyone wants to be in craft beer.
Yes, it's very cool. It wasn't cool 5 years ago.
It wasn't cool 5 years ago. And so, sorry, hipster white guys, but now you're willing to take a giant pay cut and work for commission only to be a sales rep or do something weird. Only? Totally.
Are you for real?
A whole different podcast. It's ridiculous. Because people are so desperate to get into beer now that there are places that are we'll just do commission only and you can get your foot in the door.
Fuck that. Sorry, man. I know there's not a lot of money,
if you're doing commission only, how do you sleep at night? How? Yeah, so I'm basically the only black female sales rep in craft beer. Right. Probably the only black person in...
I can't think of any
in Ontario.
Black, as opposed to Indian Sri Lankan or something.
Yeah. Which is so weird.
Isn't that terrible?
Because, you go to these events, Society of the Beer Drinking Ladies, Iron Beer Maidens.
How's the diversity there?
There's diversity.
Right. Not a ton, but
it's not a ton, but, even
my friend Vanessa
Queen of Craft, there were still, 3 or 4 women of color. Maybe, actually, probably more.
Or attending?
I was the only woman of color speaking, and then there were 2 black women, and then there were probably like a handful of like women of color. Well, so the MC, I count the MC in one of the like attending, but it's still, it's still not. And I mean, it's 115 women in the room.
115.
So you're, so let's say 5-10 women if we're being like super generous.
Right. So maybe 10%. Maybe
if you push it. But it's still, and I mean, these are spaces where people are getting educated, but they're also having beer. Right? Like, you're not just going to be like, I'm going to learn something. You're like, I'm going to learn something while I drink tons of beer. It's interesting because this is the second year they invited me back to talk about diversity.
Yep.
And the first year I did it, it was a very white room. Very white.
And how was it received?
Really well, but a lot of people came up to me and said, I had no idea. So I feel like unless you're in the middle of it, it's not a thing you look at.
No, and I think that's what Tio was saying as well. Like all the brewers, and this is the other thing, this is his point, was that, say you got a brewery like Bellwoods, they drop Milkshark, which they're dropping tomorrow. There's going to be a line of 200 people at the door in both brew pubs. 99% white people. And they're like, well, okay, I drop a beer and I'm selling out. Why do I need to market to anybody else? Because I'm selling out of every single thing I produce.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that we need to turn around. Was like, cool, but like the way the population, if you look at like, I don't know, everyone doesn't talk about Canada, they always talk about the States. So like, isn't like it's about to be minorities are going to be the majority
for sure.
in 20 years or something. So
but I think we also need to get away from that. Like, I want people to line up for it. Like, I want people of color to line up. I don't know
it's not about the lining up.
But it's not even.
Why would they need to market if they're already selling?
But the thing is, I want you have to take them apart, right? Okay. So you have to say, I know that the white hipster guys, because it's going to be 99% guys, are going to line up for this beer.
Yes.
When this beer makes it to a beer bar, I want everyone to go there.
Yes.
And I want it to be that when I walk in, I see diversity in the bar.
That is the best rebuttal to that. And that's exactly what it is.
And that's what it is. Like, who cares who lines up to get your beer? Because you already know that when I release this beer, I'm gonna do a Facebook post and I'm gonna do a Twitter post, and the same people are gonna lose their minds.
Yes.
They're my bread and butter. Yeah. But once that beer bar, so the Stillwells and the Arabellas of the world, and the Bar Hops and the Only and all of those places, when they get their hands on it and they roll that keg out a week or two after we've all had the hubbub about like, did you get the newest? I want to see diversity in the people who show up to get it then. Like we were talking earlier about, so Queen of Craft this year had a beautiful poster. I have 2 copies of it in my office, and I love it, and it's fantastic, and like, oh my god. It's a black woman.
Yes.
And it's done as a tarot card.
Yes.
I have had numbers of people congratulate me for being the woman on the poster.
We thought it was like to represent you.
So during my talk about it, I said the problem being, it's not me. But there are so few people of color in craft beer that it automatically defaults to me. And I said, so imagine every time you see a bearded guy going up to him and being like, congrats on being on the Canuck can. That is so amazing.
Like, it's
And that's the biggest thing to take away. You see a person of color and you automatically say it's a woman, it's got to be red.
Yeah.
Like, I have the same haircut, but like I cut my hair after that poster came out.
Right.
So it was like, and there's not a lot when you really start breaking it down. Like, I don't dress like that, I don't do those things. But there are a lot of guys that look like, and I mean, I think Canuck is a great beer, so I'm just picking on it for the ease of it.
And there's a dude with a...
It's a dude with a beard, and he's in
a lumberjack shirt.
He's like grade A hipster.
Yeah.
And there's probably been like 10 guys who've walked past this window looking exactly like that guy. Like, I'm gonna run up to them and be like, oh, you're on a can of beer, do you know?
That's insane.
But the thing is, when you say that, people laugh, and then they go, oh, wait a minute, now I got it.
Did you say that?
I did, and the room got really weird about it. Because it was that moment of like...
uncomfortable reality.
You're right. If I see a person of color, I automatically realize it could be like one of 5 people.
Yeah.
But if I see a white guy in a can, I could be like one of like 3 million dudes. And I think that's what I really push, is just I'm not going in and flipping tables and saying like, we need more black people doing things. It's just, be aware when you see posters or cans or whatever that we need to remember, like, oh, hey, there are other people, people of color, who are enjoying this product as much as I am.
So that is amazing, Ren. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was fantastic. Where can everybody find you online?
Oh, man. So on Instagram and Twitter, it is 35mm Monkey.
What? I meant to ask you about that.
Oh, yeah. So I used to be a photographer.
Oh, there you
And
go.
I used to shoot with 35mm film.
That's what it was. I was like, it's either film or lens.
Yes, and it's problematic to a lot of people that a black person would use the word monkey.
About that.
Also, I really love monkeys. I just made it simple. Let's just make things simple.
I like that.
I know.
Good answer.
I mean, at the end of the day, yes, monkey is problematic for black people, but I legit
I just really like it. See, not everything's complicated.
Nope. Let's keep it simple.
I like that. That's the best place. Look out for the website. Thank you again.
Thank you.
If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure you smash that thumbs up, hit it real hard, hit subscribe below, and hit the notification bell so you know when we drop that new heat. Follow us on social media at BAOS Podcast, and check out the long form audio like this on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get Talkie Media, and make sure you rate and review that bad boy so people can find it. That is it, y'all. Thank you again, Ram.
Thank you.
Get it in ya. Cheers.